Alright, good morning, YouTubers. Alright. I had to come out here and talk to you because nobody in real life likes to listen anyways, right? Do people on the internet actually listen? Alright, let's get into this. Alright, so an update on my situation. The career services gentleman said he'd forward my contact information over to his, friends who are looking for helpers. So I'm like, okay, cool, we'll see what happens. As indicated in my shorts, yes, I trolled my own Craigslist ads for my vehicles. Just saw some guy catching a fish. It was a catfish, so not really. Catfish be like, let's meet in real life, man. No, I don't have the means to store it. And I'm not a catfish person. As far as delicacy wise, and because this is a Potomac, you might be eventually getting surprises if you eat what you catch here, and you start growing like fucking 4 private parts all over your body, you know what I'm saying, so, but it was a good catch for him. And yes, a small dog. At first it looked like a raccoon, but it was probably just a small dog. So, alright, well, whatever. So that's that. I'm sitting here. It's cloudy out. Not sure if it's going to rain or not. And, again, it's like that one meme says, 1995 to 2005. People used to go to the internet to escape the real world. And now, people go to the real world to escape the internet. So make that make sense. What's up? I'm sorry?
You pick up the food back there fishing.
Oh, yeah.
And not by the worm either. Too
Mm.
much money.
Yeah, you just got to find the right market for it,
I know, but it's a lot of expensive.
Food is expensive. You're not wrong.
The fishing food.
I'm sorry?
The fishing.
Fishing, yeah.
Yeah, for the fishing.
Do you fish for food?
Yeah, I thought you picked up the food and
Oh, okay. So you use, what do you got, like chicken there or something?
whatever they have it.
Whatever, yeah. And you just use
Whatever
it.
they have it.
And it works?
They have the market. They have a whole bunch of food and fishing.
Oh, okay.
Food, yeah.
Where is this?
Worm and meats and everything in there.
And where is this place?
Market to the Walmart.
Walmart? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have a lot of things to the food for fishing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I figure. Yeah, they do sell a lot of fishing, hunting gear.
Yeah, the market, but you have to pick up the food in the garbage for they eat the chicken or the.
Oh, so that's like stuff they throw away.
The chicken and shrimp.
Yep.
And the beef and.
So it's like the stuff they throw away.
Yeah, and you pick it up.
And you find it like in the dumpster.
You find it, you cannot eat the fish.
Yep.
Yeah, and just you go to the Walmart,
Mhm.
you bought a whole bunch. That's a lot of money for that one.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, but that money, and you can go to buy the food, you go home and cook it, eat.
Mm.
And that one substance, you come in here, the stuff that you throw it away, you make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cheap one.
Yeah. Do you catch a lot of fish?
Yeah, you know the big bottom for the worm.
Yeah.
How much? $5. $10.
Holy shit.
You know how much? You don't know?
No, I don't know. Yeah, I hope you catch something a little better than that.
Yeah,
I know carp are the really the good ones. Carp.
But the ones I saw a couple of days ago, people get a big one.
Oh yeah, if you get something big, keep it. That'll feed you for a while.
Yeah. That's what they got 2 of them.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, over there. That's why I picked it up that way.
Yeah, I think with the cost of everything, you're going to be seeing a lot more people fishing, hunting, farming. It's just the way we're headed, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, right?
It's fucking it's crazy. I talk about this all the time.
Yeah, I just pick up the show there. It's a couple of minutes together.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good luck with everything. Hope you catch something better. Anyhow, nice little side note. That was pretty cool. Anyhow, let's get back on topic. Again, you know, I like to come here to escape the internet. And I know hypocritical because I'm posting this video to the internet. You know, and again, you know, coming here just allows me to escape for a little while. You know, the computer world, because you know when you're in between jobs, it's almost like working from home. You know, because you're tethered to the computer and everything is done online. And you know, the days of walking into a store and filling out a paper application, they're gone. You know, unless you find a mom and pop type place, and those may be gone too. You know, because everything's about big corporation. I was having a conversation with my housemate, like, let's hypothetically say I become a big agricultural farm, right? You know, let's call myself nomadic farms. You know, I have a huge amount of acreage. I have enough. I get subsidized enough to buy a fucking $4 million robotic machine that'll do all the picking and stuff. And that gentleman I was just chatting to, he runs a small farm. You know. Or let me put this into perspective, actually. A better example. Fishing. I run nomadic fishing. Let's just say that boat way over there. I know it's not a fishing boat, but let's say it is. That's my fishing boat. We'll use that as an example. I go out and catch a whole bunch of fish. I have that equipment and a crew. That gentleman over there fishing for himself, and I mean, hell, he may sell his catch, you know, to the public. He can't compete. And you know, this may again tie into, you know, the farm example as well. You know, I could be big ag with a bunch of equipment that does the work for me. You know, I don't need to hire anybody. You know, because the machine will be able to do it for me. I mean, hell, everything, it'll be automated. That gentleman over there, you know, will have to hire workers, or he could be a worker and be at risk for being on, you know, ICE's watch list. And then let's assume, you know, I don't know the guy, so I'm not going to judge, but I'm going to use that as an example. Let's just hypothetically say somebody reports, they see him, they say, yeah, there's a guy, I think he's here illegally, and then ICE comes, they cuff and stuff him, they take his fishing tackle, all that stuff, and he's gone. And then, you know, his company goes under because they can't compete. And that's where we're headed. You know, America seems to be no longer run by the people. We've lost that way. It's the corporations. And this has nothing to do with who's in office. Well, maybe now it does, but in general, it's never ever really had anything to do with an office, because, you know, all the rich, they're going to support whoever they support, you know, and in this case, according to sources I read, you know, most of them lean to the left, you know, barring Elon Musk. And, you know, he and Trump are at odds, but that's no surprise to me. And so we'll leave that one alone. There's enough people talking about that. And, you know, with the EV thing and the EV credits, which I guess are being done away with, that's removing incentive for people, you know, to buy those. And I'm going to make it clear, I'm not a fan of electric cars or any of the high tech. And I know I've said this in my other videos, you know, I'm hoping it doesn't get to that point where I have to choose between, rent or a car payment, but it may end up being that way, and in hindsight, I could have been, you know, I could have made a very smart move in purchasing that 90 Geo tracker. So if shit hits the fan, I'll at least have something that I could get from point A to point B. That's not why I got it, but this is the reality of what we're facing. I'm not the only one in this boat, and that's why I said, it's very possible I may find my opportunities elsewhere. And some say, there's a school of thought that trying to find happiness geographically, isn't going to solve your problems because you're going to take that with you. And there could be some element of truth to that. And I'm sure, and that has happened. Americans go to some other country and they bring their, American attitude with them. The other country's not going to like that. It's kind of the same way we view Mexicans coming here and waving their flag here in the States. I know, make that shit make sense, right? But yep, this is the reality. Hang on a sec. I'm going to move away from these people. Alright. Trying not to get too many people in the video. I know how people can get. So I'm over here now. And I'm taking the YouTube world with me. So, again, I don't want to make my videos doom and gloom. I don't want to sit here and beg for subscribers or anything, I would rather people like and subscribe and watch my videos because they want to. Not because I'm sitting there saying, like and subscribe. And my channel blows up, great, awesome, If it doesn't, whatever, that's just my take. I'll just take everything one day at a time. I'm going to say this quote, and I may have said it in a prior video. If you can't do anything about it, this is a quote. If you can't do anything about it, don't worry about it. And that was quoted by Jean-Louise Calment, if I pronounce that right, a French woman who lived to be 122 years and I think like 200 some days. And the only person that's been verified to reach 120, which you might as well call a ultra centenarian, because your centenarians 100 to 110, super centenarians 110 to 120. So there's only one verified ultra centenarian. But anyhow, that was, that's one quote that definitely makes a lot of sense, especially in, today's world. And the other approach you could also take is the Bruce Lee approach in that one scene in Enter the Dragon. Where he gets chased into a room and then all the doors shut, meaning he can't get out. There ain't shit that he can do. What does he do? He meditates. He meditates. He's not going to get anywhere by doing a striptease or anything like that. He meditates. And then obviously eventually, something happens. And, in that scene, his character was... The character was probably portraying that he knows that he could die in there. So he just meditates. Anyhow, enough about scenes and quotes and all that. I'm just adapting both of those, to my personal, situation here. Like, I have no control over whether a company hires me or not. I have no control over whether, people like and subscribe my channel. I don't. I have no control if I can't make my car payments on time, you know, unless I get a job, of course, then I do, but, you know, if nothing changes, you know, within the next 90 days, I have no control whether Hyundai decides to put out the intent to repossess. And, you know, some people might, you know, say, I might get some heat, like saying, well, why'd you buy the Tracker in the first place? You could have used that, you know, for the car payments. And while true, you know, if nothing changed in 6 months or a year, then I'd be stuck in the same boat and then not have any car. You know, so I guess you could say, you know, in hindsight, well, that was not my intent. You know, at least I would have something as a backup vehicle that I could still get back and forth to places if I had to. And, you know, that's why my Craigslist ad, yeah, when I know I got a little, you know, heat, you know, from a responder, and, you know, I was like, I gotta be honest, I don't want to sell it. And so that's pretty much that. And, you know, I will say, and I mean this with all sincerity, let's assume somebody were to purchase the Tracker, right? I would take that money, put it with my stash, buy a plane ticket, a one-way ticket to wherever, and just say, fuck it, I'm out of here. And I won't come back. Now, this isn't like trying to flee from all my debts or whatever. You know, and I know some people do that. And like I've said in many of my other videos, and other people have said this, they pretty much condemned their existence. But, you know, again, you know, I've been kind of a nomad as of late, since 2022, and I've gotten kind of used to it. Now, let me be clear, you know, I'm not homeless or any of that. You know, I do have a roof over my head. So that's that. You know, let's keep it that way. You know, I do get the, you know, the occasional side hustle here and there. You know, because like you got to do what you got to do to survive. You know, and you know, another thing I want to touch upon. I think I've touched upon this in other videos. You know, the way they're making cuts. You know, things like, you know, Medicaid. I have no control over that. You know, I already am mentally prepared that, you know, if you're poor or if you have any type of medical condition, you're pretty much toast. You know, it's almost like I said, you know, if we're not already there, we're headed towards a fascist dictatorship where they want to eliminate as many people as they can without firing a single shot. That's not doom and gloom, that's fact. I mean, why do you think, you know, the dating pool has become, you know, so toxic? Especially since the pandemic. Why do you think, you know, there's so much noise in the media? You know, it's really just all a cover-up for what's really going on. You know, why do you think, you know, companies, you know, especially labor companies, and I'm partial to labor companies because I've done the work. You know, why do you think they hire immigrants instead of citizens? And I've always been a believer, you know, put America first, and then help, you know, other people. You know, if I apply for a labor job, you know, I should be first in line. You know, although I guess in retrospect that could be tying into the whole, you know, merit-based. You know, if the immigrant has more experience, then yeah, hire that one with more experience. You know, not the DEI white guy that fucking only got into it in 2021, you know, only to leave for a government contract position a year later. Because, you know, at the time, you know, it was a better deal, and you know, I got something out of it. You know, not going to totally razz on it, and you know, something else may come about. You know, so you just got to just keep going and do what's right for you. You know, just because I'm saying, you know, if I sell the tracker, I'm getting a plane ticket and getting the fuck out of here. You know, doesn't mean everybody else, you know, should hop in that bandwagon. And you know, I've been sitting doing my research, all that. Yes, I've been doing my research. You know, I'm not gonna fucking, you know, write every country in a hat and then pull one out and say, "Yep, I'm going there." You know, and you know, and obviously, you have to adopt that country's culture and laws and government system, you know, wherever it is. It's, you know, the same way it should be when somebody comes here. You know, they have to abide by our laws, you know, and our system. You know, so it goes both ways. You know, whether you're a refugee fleeing, you know, Syria or Palestine, or trying to, you know, come to America from insert poor country of choice for a better life, or you're somebody who's in America trying to expatriate, you know, you have to leave the stuff that's plaguing your nation at the door. But anyhow, just want to get this stuff out there, my daily situation, keeping the grind. Don't make any rash decisions either, you know. That's actually the worst thing that you can do. You know, life is like chess. You got to play to win. I'll talk to you.